For squat proofing, we work with the following principles that I'm about to present. All of them have their roots in more linear patterns and things that you will have already practiced if you've been part of the online programs or the standardized programs that I provide. The idea is now that you are using these fundamental movements in more of a free-flowing, explorative form. We're going to begin quite simply with exploration of the ankles and the toes, and I'm just sitting in my squat here. First of all, I start just mapping certain weight distribution in my body. So here is just more left, here is more right, coming onto the ball of the foot, coming forward, backwards, just exploring the potential ranges, the edges of those ranges that I have with the squat. I may even work with some circles, coming to the side, just using the hands here to support me. Take a couple minutes just to explore the end ranges of your squat availability. From here we work into the toes, and I work with the classic knee kissing. Again, it's completely explorative. I'm going forward, to the left, to the right, more or less on the left, more or less on the right, toe rocking. Of course, we have these tools and you can use them as well without any hand assistance if it's necessary. Coming out, coming in, both knees one direction, coming in the other direction, and taking time to feel, is one side tighter than the other? Does something feel restricted? Making a mental note as part of your proofing, but also working your way into it a bit more as well. So we move from the toes more into the hip, and I focus on opening into the hip, whether that's forward, backwards, sideways. Again, hand assistance on the floor, there's nothing wrong with this. Both hips. And then working into the quads as well. Bringing yourself back, still on the toes. And exploring the range availability, most particularly on the inside as well, with this more internal rotation, loading and exploring. From here, where necessary, if you are still somewhat restricted in the squat, work your way down into the middle using the methods you're familiar with. However, rather than repetitions and working for pulses, just more explore the ranges. So here, of course, with the push away, I'm looking more at this rotational aspect, opening up, coming down, more or less, with or without the hand, reaching overhead, working into it, closing, opening, into the other side. Contracting, relaxing, all these different methods are available to you. Working just with some pulsing through the middle, using the weight of the body to access into the torsion of the hips. Knee collapsing. Again, more free-flowing. Working internally, externally, circles. Synchronized, unsynchronized. Also here, working into the ankles at the same time. Mapping the foot through the ball, the inside, the heel, the outside, as part of this proofing and exploration. And then lastly, one of the things, you can enter yourself into the floor, map the hips slightly, and work out of the floor. Take some steps, work into the floor, some rocking of the knees, some crossing, some uncrossing, into the floor, working out of the floor. Crossing, uncrossing, collapsing, opening, closing, into the floor, out of the floor. So at the same time as I'm preparing my squat and proofing, I'm also mapping my squat against the ground. So it's a simple entrance and exit in a variety of manners, all working through the squat. A nice addition, but this starts tying more into low gait movement, is an extended squat step. So I place a support here from my squat. This is my support at the moment. I place a new support here, and I take myself over to there. And I explore. I take an extension, and I explore over to there. Turning, twisting, with flexion, extension, wider squat, more narrow squat, and lastly, one of the things I'll do is just start to open up the posterior chain a little. With all the squatting, it can get quite tight behind the legs and the hamstrings and also the calves, so you can give a few moments to bring yourself up. And again, working with extension, flexion, the hips dropping and hiking, back in, and taking some time to explore. Spend at least 5 minutes. Make sure you go through all the available ranges of the toes, of the ankles, of the knees, of the hips in relation to the squat. And then where necessary, if you need to go more specifically into the toes, the ankles and the knees and things, I'll be sharing these ideas in the priming for those particular articulations.